I won't let this stop me. I will get through this.
Why me? Why today, God? Of all the days, she had prayed so hard for this opportunity. She had begged for just one chance. And now, 10 minutes before the most important interview of her life, she stood there ruined, humiliated, covered in mud from a stranger's car. Everything in her wanted to turn around and go home, but she didn't. And what happened the moment she walked through those doors would prove that sometimes what looks like disaster is actually God answering your prayer in a way you never expected. Stay with me, because this story will remind you why you should never give up right before your breakthrough. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Michelle Turner, 34, had not slept the night before. Not from excitement, from fear. 6 months earlier, the company she'd worked at for 9 years had shut its doors without warning, and Michelle had spent every one of those months since sending out applications, sitting through interviews that led nowhere, and watching her savings shrink a little more each week. She was a single mother raising 2 kids, and the number in her bank account had become the thing she thought about first every morning and last every night. This interview, a mid-level operations role at a respected logistics firm, was the first one in months that had felt like a real possibility. She'd practiced her answers in the mirror. She'd ironed her one good blazer twice. She'd knelt beside her bed the night before and prayed the kind of prayer you only pray when you're truly out of other options. God, please, she'd whispered. Just this one. I'll work harder than anyone they've ever hired. Just give me the chance. She left the house that morning with 20 extra minutes to spare, determined not to leave anything to chance. She never saw the car coming. A rideshare driver, running late himself and distracted, hit a deep puddle at speed just as Michelle stepped onto the crosswalk. Muddy water hit her from the waist down, soaking her blazer, splattering her blouse, ruining in 3 seconds the only interview outfit she owned. The driver, a man named David Reyes, pulled over immediately, horrified. I'm so sorry I didn't see the puddle. I'm really sorry, I was in a hurry, I'm running late. Please tell me how I can fix this. Michelle looked down at herself, then at her watch. 11 minutes until her interview. Don't worry, she said, her voice tighter than she meant it to be. It's fine, you can go. You sure? I'm fine, she said again, mostly to convince herself. He apologized once more and drove off, leaving Michelle standing on the sidewalk, mud dripping from her sleeve, 10 blocks from the building where her entire future might be decided in the next few minutes. For a moment, she genuinely considered turning around, going home, calling to reschedule or not calling at all. But 6 months of rejection had taught Michelle something the version of her a year ago hadn't known yet, that sometimes showing up broken is still better than not showing up at all. It's better I show up like this than not show up at all, she said quietly to herself, and started walking. By the time she reached the building's glass doors, she caught her own reflection and nearly stopped again. Mud stained the entire left side of her blazer. Her stockings were streaked brown. Her carefully ironed blouse clung damp against her skin. Oh my goodness, she heard a receptionist whisper to a coworker as she walked in. Is she serious? Did she actually come here like that? Michelle felt her face burn, but she kept walking toward the front desk. Why did I even come? Have I come to embarrass myself? She thought. I look ridiculous. But underneath the humiliation was something steadier. She had come too far, prayed too hard, and needed this too much to walk away now. God help me, she whispered, so quietly only she could hear it. I'll give my best, that's all I can do. The receptionist's phone buzzed. Ms. Turner, the panel is ready for you. Panel of 3 looked up as Michelle walked in, and she watched the surprise ripple across their faces. You came to an interview, dressed like this? One of them asked, not unkindly but clearly startled. I'm very sorry, Michelle said, standing as straight as she could manage. On my way here, a car accidentally splashed muddy water on me. I considered going home to change, but I knew I would miss this opportunity if I did. So I chose to come anyway. I hope you'll allow me the chance to speak from the knowledge and experience I've brought with me today, appearance aside. There was a pause. Then the panel chair, a composed man in his 50s, spoke. Well, he said, you've already demonstrated something our dress code can't measure. Go ahead, tell us what value you'd bring to this company. Michelle took a breath and answered every question that followed with the same steadiness she'd practiced in her mirror for a week straight. Dedication, problem solving, a genuine commitment to doing the work well. not just doing enough to get by. She spoke about the 9 years she'd given her last company, the discipline she'd built raising 2 kids alone, and the simple fact that she showed up every time, no matter what. When the interview ended, one panelist murmured to another just loud enough for Michelle to catch on her way out. She communicates exceptionally well. After Michelle left, the 3 panelists sat in a short debrief with the company's CEO, Richard Coleman, who'd been reviewing candidate notes from his office down the hall. "She's our 4th candidate today," one panelist told him. "Very promising, excellent communication, strong confidence. Unfortunately, failed the dress code requirement rather dramatically." Richard was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "She's hired." The panelists exchanged confused looks. "Sir," this morning, Richard said, "I was in a rideshare that splashed muddy water on a young woman crossing the street. I offered to help. She refused, insisted she was fine, and kept walking. I didn't think anything more of it until I just watched the footage from your interview and realized it was the same woman." He set the folder down. "She didn't complain. She didn't blame anyone. She didn't make excuses. She simply kept going, and then she walked in here and did the work anyway. Do you know how rare that is? I'm not going to let this kind of character walk out that door because of a stain on a blazer." Michelle was already home, sitting on her bed still in her ruined blazer, replaying every moment of the interview in her mind and bracing for another rejection email, when her phone rang. It was Richard Coleman himself. "MS Turner," he said. "I wanted to call you personally. Congratulations, you're hired. You can start Monday." Michelle sat frozen for a moment, certain she'd misheard him. "Thank you," she finally managed, her voice cracking. "Thank you so much." Before he hung up, Richard added one more thing. "And Ms. Turner, I was the passenger in that car this morning. I saw exactly how you handled it. God didn't disappoint you today. What looked like disaster was actually the path to your answered prayer. I'm glad you didn't give up. See you Monday." Michelle sat in the quiet of her bedroom long after the call ended, tears finally falling, not from humiliation this time, but from the overwhelming relief of 6 months of prayers finally answered, in a way she never could have planned or predicted. Sometimes the very thing that feels like it's ruining your moment is quietly building the story of how you got exactly where you were always meant to be. If this story meant something to you, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next one.